Hello, welcome back to the shop. It is the month of fabrication, of course, and it is, I don't even know what day it is. Wednesday? Yes, it's Wednesday, and we got the Noke sign back. Check this thing out. You guys have seen it. I know this is beyond the scope of production, but put that B-roll in here. N-O-K-E, back from Powder Coating Creations. They're 6-foot tall letters, powder coated. It's my first time looking at it, to be honest. And they look awesome. Hurry up.
There we go.
Jesus.
Sorry.
Lucas and his team over at Powder Coating Creations did an awesome job, especially with this two-tone piece. You know, they had a lot of powder coaters in the past tell me they cannot do two-tone, and I think it's because they're lazy, because this is awesome, and Lucas does not make a stink about it at all. Very cool to see this. I did not do the most perfect job joining these two pieces in the middle, but I also didn't want to spend 47 hours joining these two together. So when you back up, not even that far, it looks pretty awesome. Yeah, there's some warp, there's some life in them, but man, the idea is that these are visible from a long way away, and I think we've satisfied that. So these are gonna go out to Noke Fest a week from today, maybe earlier. Actually today, after work at 5:45, there is the second heat of the Urban Assault bike race. So we will be putting these letters out in Riverdale along the bike race route, along with the drift car and some other things from around Lift Arc. And we'll be tailgating, we'll be sitting on the edge of the road, antagonizing the bikers. And it's just cool to see stuff like that happen in Riverdale. So that's what these guys are gonna be doing in the next week. Bike race tonight and out to the Noke Fest site a week from then. And then there'll be someone else's problem. But we built these for Cody and the crew over at Noke Fest, obviously. But it was not something I do all the time, but these particular letters were an in-kind donation. And that was our way to sponsor this festival. I like Cody. I know how much work it takes to start, market, and run a music festival. There's some big names on the docket. I know music band costs are higher than they've ever been. So we're happy to do this in a rising tide lifting all ships kind of situation. And we're getting hooked up with VIP big time. So we'll show you guys Noke Fest a week from today when that actually goes down. So that's that, that's all that. Moving on, today's goal is not to lose my mind. We're gonna have another tour of kids from the Burton welding program today at 1. Right now it is 11. So my goal right now is to continue working with Tyler to get these bike racks built. So Tyler's been working on the skis or the sleds or whatever you want to call them. They're the bottom parallels of these bike racks. If you haven't already, cut in it's on our Instagram, just a photo of that bike rack that out in the wild. There's one in front of 7-Eleven, in South Roanoke and a few others around town. Same design, the hoops. You know, we did our testing yesterday. This is the general shape of the hoop. It's just going to be taller and a little bit further apart. So the first thing, this is for you and for y'all, the first thing we need to do is define the outer limits of this rectangle on this table. So we need to define 29 1/8 this way and 33 1/2 this way. And then what we'll do from there is use my sample bend, my sample 90 that I use to measure things, which is this thing. Tried to get all the rust off of it. But that 90 was made in this die, okay. And that line was cut based on a mark I made along this die surface. Gotcha. So the reason that's helpful.
So that's like the last straight part.
Right, that's where it goes from bend to straight, and it's helpful because you can take a tape measure. You have a tape measure? Just put it over here.
Other side. There you go.
The cool part about this is, let's say I wanted to, we sort of did this yesterday, but you weren't here. The idea is, let's say I wanted to make a tube that goes up, bends, and follows the contour of this table, right?
Yeah.
use this. This is the exact kind of bend that die makes. So we put this in our boundaries, account for any tolerance. In roll cages, it's likely that you want it to be spaced off the roof and the sides of the car a little bit, but let's say there's 0 tolerance. You can do that, and let's say I had a second one. This slot is actually made to where you can drop your tape measure in it.
Gotcha.
And pull it. You can also take that slot and make a mark on the table, and then take this over here, do the same thing, make a mark on the table, and now you know how much tubing is straight in between the bends.
Yeah.
And we'll be working from the center out on this thing. So the reason I want to define a box on the table, even if it's just some Sharpie lines, is that we can do that exact exercise. We can take this in there, we can stick it up in one corner, make that mark, stick it in the other corner, make that mark, figure out how much straight tubing is being used here, make our center point, so then we know we have that much, we have the 10 or so inches that's eaten up by the bend, and then we have this straight.
Yeah.
And we're gonna make a few that are probably too long at first, but then we'll take note of how much we have to cut off in order to make it the right size.
Yeah.
And that will influence how we change the original material cut. So eventually, I'd like to get to the point where we're cutting it at the exact right length to where once we bend it, these end up at the right time, at the right place.
Okay.
Obviously a little longer is better than short because
Yeah.
you can always cut off. So that's the goal. I think for now, I'd say keep going on these.
Yeah, I was about to start on those.
And I'll start doing a few sample bends for this, sample pieces, and we'll go from there.
Awesome.
Go team.
Let's go.
Let's rock it. Okay, so here's the result of Tyler and I's first bend. Here's what went right. Our two bends are perfectly in phase with each other, so this thing does not rock at all. We have exactly, our outside to outside goal was 29 1/8, and we have exactly 29 1/8. So we're good there. We are, it's showing, it kind of feels like it's a little wider than our goal, but the numbers make sense. And to be honest with you, the way we're gonna attach these to these rails, and with the flex that you have with the legs of the staple, we're gonna have to be okay with a tolerance in order to get this job done in a reasonable amount of time. So Tyler had a great question. Can we use this part? We can absolutely use this part. And we also learned that we added 2 inches to our cut length, expecting it to be 1 inch longer than our table. We're actually 2 inches or so longer than the table. So the cut length was longer than we needed, longer than I thought we needed based on my math. So instead of going back to 89 3/4, we're just gonna round that to an even 90. And now we need, yeah, absolutely. And we need 78 total. So this is one done, 77 to go. So sir, your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to cut 77 pieces of this tube.
Well, I don't think I really have a choice.
Yeah. At 90 inches.
Yeah. That's what I did yesterday, so
There you go.
start cutting.
Wear that bandsaw out. So because there's so many to cut, it might be worth, we could do that, or it might be worth figuring out some sort of stop or something over there.
Oh, speaking of, the clack to stop. He was talking to me yesterday. It's a first idea, get a backstop. So if we have to cut a ton of material like this, just push it in, cut, push it in, cut.
And he wanted to name it the clapper stop.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I wanted to.
Oh, okay.
So,
Clapper, if you're watching, we'll name a stop on our saw. We'll name it the clapper stop, just for you. All right, I'll go with you over there. We'll get a system figured out on that. And then ideally, when we have it, I also want to automate these marks. So we'll find a way, maybe we have all those tubes lined up, a table's worth, and we can lay a straight edge and go brrrt, 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 instead
probably the easiest.
of having to measure each one. So we'll join forces on the saw first. Progress. Right, so Tyler had to bounce. He's a soccer superstar, but we got ghetto rigged the saw even more. So we welded on some additional stainless pipe from what Aaron fabricated years and years ago. The idea is now we can set a stop for 90 inches. I didn't even measure this, so I hope it's long enough. Let's see where 90 lands. Oh yeah, 90's right in here. So I just ground this smooth so that thing moves around. So we just need this guy to get it close, and then I'll use a hammer to fine tune.
Now you don't even need to measure.
That's the idea.
Measure 0, cut once.
Well, I measured once.
Well, yeah.
I measure once, cut 77 times. Okay, so let's try it. Inches.
Let's go.
That's what we want. So now the question remains, we get to this last piece so we can get 3 pieces out of each raw stick. Is it a super pain to do this? It's not that bad. Do that. Clamp it. And it'll float. Tyler can be cranking this out tomorrow. And then now I'm going to come up with a similar sheet to figure out where my bends start so I don't have to measure each one. Now we cut 77 of these, well 78 total. And then what we will likely do is cut a whole table's worth of these. You know, set 20 or 30 of these up on the table at a time. This is plan 1. It may not be how we do it, but one option would be set a bunch on the table here, line all the ends up so they're all stacked the same, and then we can make we need to make 2 marks. We need to mark this line and this line, the start of each bend. So we could one mark and go down the whole line, and then find the other mark and go across all of them. So we have our start points. That's plan 1 for mass production. Plan 2 would be some sort of physical stop, right? So this tube needs to be loaded in the bender a certain way and to a certain depth, right? In the bender, load it in, but I need to load it in a certain distance. So I could either measure from the face of the die to the end, or come up with something else fancy.
Would it make sense to put the
here.
stop on the other side? Because you can use the fixture table.
Yeah, I absolutely could. Yeah, because it's going to start rotating and bending, so it'll actually hit the stop and come away from it. Yeah, so then I can do basically this. My weird double square that I made forever ago. But we'll see where it actually lies.
Yeah, if it lines up right.
And then clamp it. You know, we could even get a impact driver on this bolt instead of the wrench. And the only thing I can't automate at that point is the rotation of the piece in the die. I still need to use the digital angle finder in order to make sure the 2 legs are in phase. That's not bad. Do 77 of them. Curious to see how fast we can make this process. I bet it's 1 every 10 minutes, 6 an hour, 10 hours, so a day and a half. That wouldn't be bad. That's constant work, but that's what we're here to do. Constant work. Cool. My day's about to shift. We're gearing up for that bike race, which you will see probably in tomorrow's video. So I'll leave you guys with a little mock-up. Something of this sort.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's gonna be great.
So you can start getting the idea. That's what we're making.
I like that Roanoke's becoming more of a cycle town.
Roanoke's a big cycle town. And then there will be plasma cut panels that go inside here on each end. One will say Friends of the Blue Ridge. The other one will be unique to the locality or some variation thereof. So that's it. Thanks for watching. Happy to have you here during the month of fabrication. Remember, use code SPIKEHATESSHIPPING for 30% off all of our remaining merch. Shirts, t-shirts, that kind of stuff, stickers. And like and subscribe, tell your friends, and we'll see you tomorrow. Goodbye.